Welcome back, everybody. It's your host, DJ Market. This is going to be a big one. I'm going to be discussing the man referred to as one of the GOATs, one of the greatest rappers ever. Amazing lyricist, amazing flow, great presence, team player. He brought the team with him. His community were ready to big him up. He went to school with some of the legends as well. It's the man today. This is a docu podcast on the Notorious B.I.G. Yes, Notorious B.I.G. Christopher George Latour Wallace. And everybody knows this guy. Everybody. Born May 21st, 1972. Unfortunately, was shot and killed on March 9th, 1997. American rapper, songwriter. New York, that's where he is from. Laid back lyrical flow. Grim content at times. Kicking the door, waving the 4-4, all of that. You know? Brooklyn guy, Brooklyn, New York City. Was signed to Bad Boy Records. Sean Puffy, he was known as Sean Puffy Combs back in the day, Puffy. I know he's subsequently been known as P. Diddy. Then Sean's been known as Diddy. But yeah, that was the association. And this was a record company that was launched in 1993. Gained exposure through features. Biggie's debut album. And just if we just take you through some of the also known as the Notorious B.I.G., as I said before. Biggie Smalls. Or sometimes Biggie. You get it? So, yeah, his first album, Ready to Die, 1994. Critical acclaim. Like, that was a big album. Everybody knows, like, I love it when you call me Big Papa. Ones like that. Juicy. You get it? Juicy. Central figure in East Coast hip-hop. New York came up with that. Because obviously the West Coast had been doing big bits before, you know, up until that point. And the East Coast, with Biggie, came with the fire. See it? They came with the fire. Biggie got a 1995 Billboard Music Awards Rapper of the Year. And he also had his crew. It's not little, I wouldn't say little, there's big crew. Junior Mafia, which included Lil' Kim, and we know Lil' Kim, she's absolute G lyricist herself. Queen lyricist, queen rapper, queen. She's up there. She's completely up there. Second album was recorded in 1996, and this was when the East Coast West Coast feud and battle was going on. And as I say, the next year, unfortunately, he was no longer with us. But the second album, Life After Death, there seemed to be a running theme with death here, which it is what it is. This guy was speaking about what he knew. And yeah, I said his first album, Ready to Die, 1994. Second album, Life After Death, released in 1997. And this one was certified a diamond. It did reach number 1. There were 2 more posthumous albums. And Biggie, I'm sure he's done a lot more now, but he had sold at least 28 million copies in the United States. And he's also, in 2020, he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, just a bit of background on Biggie's life. Mum was a school teacher, Violetta Wallace. Dad was Selwyn George Latour. Jamaican immigrant family. And he grew up in Brooklyn's Clinton Hill, near Bedford, or it's known as Bedford. Every time we hear the rappers talk about it, they always say Bed-Stuy, but it's Bedford-Stuyvesant. Bedford-Stuyvesant is the actual real name for it. I'm not going to go into it, but allegedly there might have been some issues with drug dealing, allegedly, but I don't know the details, so I'm not going to go too deep into it. But we know what he rapped about. We heard it. He was rapping as a teenager. And he was transferred to Bishop Lowland Memorial High School in Fort Greene. He had been in Bishop Lowland Memorial High School in Fort Greene, but then he was transferred to George Westinghouse Career and Technical Education High School. It's a long name. George Westinghouse Career and Technical Education High School, which is in downtown Brooklyn. And this is where the people who were later to become OGs of the rap scene attended. You had DMX. You know about DMX, yeah? You had DMX, you had Jay-Z, and you had Busta Rhymes. Can you imagine that? Biggie, Jay-Z, Busta Rhymes, and DMX at the same school. Imagine that. And yeah, so as I said, he had some problems with the law, allegedly. That's no secret. And whilst after he came back from being away, as I'm going to call it, as he came back from being away between 1991 and 1994, he released a demo tape called Microphone Murderer. And at this point, he was calling himself Biggie Smalls. And this was alluding, there's a film called Let's Do It Again from 1975. And there's some similarity with that name with Calvin Lockhart's character. Now, Biggie was allegedly 6'3", and at points 140 to 170 kilograms, or 300 to 380 pounds. So he's a big guy. I mean, he's called Notorious Biggie for that reason, no doubt. And he just released it. He allegedly wasn't too concerned about it. He released it. Obviously, he liked his music. He released it. But then a local DJ called Mr. C of the Big Daddy Kane and Juice Crew Association heard it and promoted it. Next thing you know, gets heard by The Source Rap Magazine's editor in 1992. And then there's an unsigned hype column that The Source used to promote, sort of upcoming promising rappers. And they featured Biggie. Next thing you know, get into a recording. Demo gets heard by Sean Puffy Combs, who still was with the A&R department of Uptown Records. This has been widely publicised. Sean's time at Uptown Records. Met with Chris, and at that point he was signed allegedly to Uptown, and he had been seen in a song called A Bunch of N-Word, in a 1993 song with Heavy D and the Boys. It's 1993, early days. I mean, hip-hop's from the sort of 70s, really, but in terms of the 90s hip-hop, this, is really popping now. Had the first child, August 8th, 1993, a little girl, and he promised his daughter everything. You've heard it on the tape. He promised his daughter everything. Fast forward, the Real Love single was followed by a remix of a Mary J. Blige song, What's the 411? Success continued. Remixes of Nene Cherry's song, Buddy X, and Supercat song, Dolly My Baby. Yeah, I like that guy, Supercat. Supercat he had some good stuff from the 80s and that, and obviously in the 90s as well. And then there's the solo track, Party and Bull X. Party and Bull. That's my own beat there. I don't really like to do swearing on this channel still. Was released on the Who's the Man soundtrack film. Then he appeared with LL Cool J and Busta Rhymes in a remix of Craig Mack's Flavor in Your Ear. You know them tune there. Flavor in Your Ear. Number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. Things were popping now. They were popping now. Then Faith Evans. What happened to Faith Evans? So in August 1994, Chris allegedly married Faith Evans, who's an R&B singer, amazing singer. Faith Evans is. She is an absolute legend. a legend. Maybe I'll do a series on top R&B or top singers generally. And if I do, she's definitely going to be up there with the likes of Lauryn Hill, Faith Evans. Those two, amazing. But then he has his first pop chart success as a solo artist with a double A side, Juicy and Unbelievable, reached number 27 as the lead single to his debut album, Ready to Die. As I said, that was the first album released on September 13th, 1994. That got to number 13 on the Billboard 200 chart, 4 times platinum. It's probably superseded that by now, these times, but at the time, 4 times platinum. And those days, you didn't have internet and all this stuff to promote. This was the grind, getting your music out there, physically, maybe street teams, whatever it was, and shifting the records. And this is what Biggie did. But the sound quality of his music was definitely going to do that anyway. In addition to Juicy, he also had other hit singles, including Big Papa, which reached number 1 on the US rap chart, and One More Chance. One More Chance. What am I singing for? Anyway, let's continue. One More Chance. Yeah, that was another tune from that album. 1.1 million copies, 1995. And yeah, so he was really doing bits. He became friends during this time with Tupac, and allegedly Lil Caesar's his cousin. I didn't know that, but that's what some research suggested. But he also did a track with Shaquille O'Neal, basketball player, over 7 foot tall basketball player. Shaquille O'Neal, you got to give him props for rap, really. You got to give him a bit of props for the rapping that he's done over the years. In terms of stars, like even him and Kobe, they could rap. That's no joke. They could rap. And I think even recently Shaq was going back and forth with Damian Lillard. But, you know, that guy Shaq, he can rap. You see what I'm saying? But he released a song called You Can't Stop the Rain with Shaquille O'Neal. Okay? 4 ring Shaquille O'Neal. I'm not sure whether he had 4 rings at the time, but he certainly had 4 rings subsequently. So that's what was going on in 1994. And in 1995, as I said, Biggie had a group called Junior Mafia, which stood for, and this is going to be a lot new knowledge for a lot of people, because a lot of people just hear Junior Mafia, they don't really know the details of what the acronym in Mafia stands for. It apparently stands for Junior Masters at Finding Intelligent Attitudes. That's very sophisticated, isn't it? Junior Masters at Finding Intelligent Attitudes. As you know, Lil Kim, Lil C's were on it, and they released an album called Conspiracy that went gold, had singles Player Anthems and Get Money, Get Money, Get Money. That was on there as well. Went gold and platinum. And Christopher, I'm calling him Christopher, but Biggie continued to work with R&B artists like 112, Total, Only You. I'm not sure that tune was right, but anyway, Only You and Total on Can't You See, both reaching the top 20 of the Hot 100. He was on the cover of the Source magazine in 1995. The Source, I must say, the Source was playing such a significant role. I think it still does, even to this day, plays a significant role in hip-hop history and promoting hip-hop artists. You see what I'm saying? So they've done a lot. They've done a lot. Their organisation is legendary for that, really. And yeah, he's named in the Source Awards. So they had Source Awards. He's named Best New Artist Solo, Lyricist of the Year, this is 1995, Live Performer of the Year, and Debut Album of the Year. Unfortunately, this is the time when the East and West Coast rivalry was kicking off, and Tupac, they essentially fell out. I don't know all the details, and I don't want to get into it, because nobody who was there at the time, apart from the people themselves, but There was some back and forth between them, and there, some people were getting robbed, shot. I'm not saying who was doing what. It's all allegedly. It is what it is. It's history, and the people who were there know what happened. Also, in 1996, he had a collaboration with Michael Jackson, and he was the recipient in June 1996 of a diss track from Tupac Shakur called "Hit 'Em Up," and allegations about a certain person in relation to who was going out with who or doing what with who. I don't want to go into it, but there were allegations raised in Tupac's track "Hit 'Em Up." Tupac unfortunately passed away, and I will be doing a docu podcast on Tupac Shakur. But Tupac was unfortunately shot to death in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas on September 7th, 1996. But he died 6 days later. But he was shot at that time. Unfortunately, rest in peace, Tupac Shakur. And there were allegations made, and I'll say no more about them. There were allegations made about who was responsible for Tupac's death, allegedly. And in that same year, October 29th, 1996, Faith Evans gave birth to Biggie's son, Christopher C.J. Wallace Jr. He's a very astute young man, Christopher. When there was a movie released about the life of Biggie, and I do believe that Christopher played Biggie in that movie. He's a very, very intelligent young man. And unfortunately, in 1997, he had a health issue resulting from a car crash, and him having to use a cane for a while. So this is there's a lot of drama, a lot of things going on in Biggie's life, towards 1997. And in 1997, he presented the award to Tony Braxton at the Soul Train Awards, but unfortunately was booed. This was in Los Angeles. He was booed by some of the audience. He attended an after party as well. All sorts of people there. I'm not going to go into the details. The people who were there knew what happened, but unfortunately he was shot and killed in a shooting incident in Las Vegas. Sorry, yeah, he was shot he was shot and killed in Los Angeles, not Las Vegas. In Los Angeles, he was shot and killed, unfortunately. And we say rest in peace, Biggie Smalls. But this guy was absolute legendary. If you look at the footage of his funeral, so many people came out to see the whole block. I mean, even recently in lockdown recently, there were boomboxes in Brooklyn playing some of his tunes, and everybody was rocking to his tunes in the video that I saw people playing in lockdown. This guy is and was an absolute legend of the music game, top rapper. I'm not going to put my mouth on it. One day I'm going to do another video on who I think the top 5 rappers are, but he is up there with the best of them. This is why I'm doing a slightly longer than I've done recently, a slightly longer docu podcast on Christopher Wallace, the Notorious B.I.G., because his impact on the game. If you ask 10 rappers to name 7 of the rappers who've influenced them or their style or whatever it is, I guarantee you 70 to 80% of them are going to say the Notorious B.I.G. They'll probably say Tupac as well, but the Notorious B.I.G., his name comes up and up, back and up again, because his style was innovative. He captured, his storytelling was so dramatic, his flow impeccable and precise. He just knew how to put down raps to the tunes that were presented. I don't know who was choosing his beats, or if it was him who was choosing his beats, but the gelling, obviously Sean Puffy Combs, P. Diddy played a significant role in making sure that everything that the Notorious B.I.G. turned not to gold, but to platinum. Eventually, obviously, some of the material initially that you've heard about some of the gold albums initially, but turned to platinum eventually. And yeah, so there was, just moving on to the thereafter, there were some posthumous releases, and there's a double disc second album with a shortened title of Life After Death. Hit number 1 on the Billboard 200 charts. Happens with Legend. In the years following Biggie's death, there were a number of releases of his music. There had been a track on the Duets album, because remember, he wanted to form a supergroup called The Commission with Jay-Z, Lil C's, Combs and Charlie Baltimore. And the album was never completed, but a track from what had been proposed was released on the Duets. I think it's called the Biggie Duets album, and it's called What You Want, The Commission, and that featured Jay-Z. Also, in 1999, Bad Boy released Born Again, which included unreleased material and had guest appearances as well. Even some who had never collaborated with Biggie in his lifetime. His vocals have been sampled on various tunes, including from Ashanti and The Realest N-Word by Ashanti in 2002. And also on the Duets album, which I've already referred to. The lead single from that album, Nasty Girl, was Biggie's first number 1 single in the UK. And his mum and P. Diddy, or Diddy as he's now known, has confirmed that that will be the last release of music. Although subsequently there was a release of music called The King and I, which featured Evans and Notorious B.I.G. in 2017. So Biggie, amazing. He's known as having a thick, jaunty grumble, a very deep tone to his voice, intense and complex flows, have said others, a master of flow, and he has an incredible legacy. He's been known as the saviour of East Coast hip-hop. The Notorious B.I.G., rest in peace, my brother. An absolute legend. Again, respects to his family. And that's a wrap on this docu-podcast on an absolute legend. I've made this one longer because he deserves it. This guy, he is the man. He was the man and is the man of rap, period. I'm not going to confirm whether I feel that he's the greatest. I'll deal with that in another video. But please like, share and subscribe on the Music Bang Show. Like, share and subscribe on the Music Bang Show. And make sure that you click the notification bell for more videos. It's your boy, DJ Market. Let's go!